Hi everyone, hope you're all good. Right, okay, we're back again with another new game of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game, the 16th edition this time around. Uh, Last time we made one of these videos, Schwer Industry ended up becoming our champion, defeating three others in that round, so being the sole survivor of that, and because of that, we have another new game. And this week, again, we've got 28 people competing. Just to run over those names quickly, once my Excel sheet here loads, which it does eventually. We've got A, Lemon Lovemail, Lovemail Sophonazy, A as we call him. Baron von Rattus, coincidentally our first ever champion of this series, returning after a little hiatus. Bellatrix, Boom Shakalaka, Calfoth, Canhaga Captain Quebec, C. Collins 44, Cheeseball, Damien Handel 420, Dr. Maxis 2, Foghorn Sam, Fresno MMA, KK Kombu, Cushy Cake, Mule Floyd, Piggy Bank, Rigno, Shat, Schwer Industry, our reigning defending champion of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. Dion6, me, Stephen Terry, Arterer, the MMA historian, Trail Allman, Trig, Ubermatch, and Excon Chris. So obviously it's going to be quite a lot to get through. So I'll try not to ramble more than necessary, but I do have a habit of rambling. But anyway, for this week we have UFC Fight Night, Yadong Song versus Chris Gutierrez, and it's quite an interesting fight from the bantamweight division, though it's I can't help but feel there's a little bit more of a gap between the skill levels in these two fighters than other previous Fight Night card main eventers. I mean, Chris Gutierrez has got a very impressive career himself, a quite a similar record to Yadong. So I think he's actually got a slightly better record than Yadong Song in terms of the numbers, but I think Yudong Song's got the better quality of opponents on his resume. Um, he's been fighting higher level guys, not always successfully, but he had the loss with Corey Sandhagen, but no shame in that one. But he's coming off the win of Ricky Simon. Also had wins against uh, he has a one against Chito Vera a couple 2 or 3 years ago now, but that's aged very well in particular. And but the main thing is he's just one of those fighters you really do get a sense of danger whilst watching. He's he's one of those. He's the only thing. No matter how the fight's going, he could find a knockout from anywhere. And to be honest, I think we're going to see another one. I think as tough as Chris Gutierrez is, I reckon that Yudong Song's good enough to stop him. So I've gone with Yudong Song second round knockout for my main prediction there. But we've got quite a few interesting fights going down the cards as well. Anthony Smith versus Carly Roundtree in the co-main event. Another one sticks out, particularly because they're two of my favourites of recent favourites. Anyway, Steve Garcia and Melequizel Costa. Ever since he's made the move up from LFA into the UFC, I've always enjoyed watching his fights. Even though I think Steve Garcia is going to win that one, but you know, it's one of those that just looks like it's going to be a good card. Looks like it's going to have quite a few good, quite a good few finishes. I reckon. Well, I've predicted more finishes than I normally do for this card. Anyway, we'll see in about 24 hours. But you're not here for my predictions. I wouldn't have any viewers if that was the case. But um, you're here to find out who you're going to be assigned with. So, first up, it's A. Let's see who he's going to be paired with tomorrow night. He gets Talita Alencar. Talita Alencar there for probably not pronouncing that right, but I was frozen again on this. There we go. It's yeah, first fight on the cards. I reckon I say it's a bit of a coin toss fight, really. So, I mean, both she's up against Rhea and Amanda, both girls making their UFC debuts. Both were on the contender series as well. Yeah, it's one of those. It's sort of a 50-50 one. I'm siding with Rhea and Amanda simply because she's got quite a lot more fights. I think Talita's only had 4, maybe 5 pro fights off the top of my head. So I think just on experience, I'm going with Rhea and Amanda, but certainly not impossible at all for Talita Lenkar to get a win there. Baron von Ratus is up next. Let's see who's going to be fighting in the Emperor Ratus's corner. He gets Hyun Sung Park. Hyun Sung Park there for Baron von Ratus. And he's one of the. This is probably one of the heavier favourites on the card, or at least in my opinion, anyway. I've got him to win first round submission against Shannon Ross, who's Linson Park still undefeated. He's 8-0. Just made a little scribble down on my notes there, but yes, 8-0. And Shannon Ross 13-8, I believe, if I've written it down right. And yeah, I just can't see any way or any reasonable way Shannon Ross wins this. So that's a very good, it's a very safe pick as far as I'm concerned. So I reckon we'll be seeing the Baron in the next round. Bellatrix up next to take on the wheel. And she gets one of my mentioned personal favourites of the recent cards, Steve Garcia. Briefly mentions that I've got Steve Garcia to win. More precisely, I've got him to win by third round knockout against Milenko Costa. Again, that's just because similar to Yadong Song, as I mentioned earlier, Steve Garcia is one of those that gives off a genuine dangerous. Well, I mean, it's kind of dismissive, really. I mean, if you're a professional MMA fighter, you are dangerous, but I mean, it's you know what I mean. It's one of those that can pull a knockout out of anywhere, kind of fighters. This, I was like, there was a bit of a stupid phrase that, but yeah, they are all dangerous. But yeah, there are others I'd rather be in a cage with against than Steve Garcia, that's for sure. So again, I think it's just got a good chance of getting through there. Boom Shakalaka up next. Never going to get tired of saying that username. And he gets one of the co-main eventers, Carly Roundtree Jr. Carly Roundtree. I've got him to win a decision against Anthony Smith. Is a knockout isn't impossible, and I might favour that option if it were a 5-round fight. But for 3 rounds, I think Anthony Smith he's not completely washed yet. He's past his prime, but he's not completely washed. I thought he's tough enough to hang in for a decision. It would be a bit of an upset if he did win. I've heard a bit of talk online thinking if he wins, he could be back in title contention. To be honest, I can't really see Anthony Smith getting back into the light heavyweights title picture, really. But he's still going to put up a respectable showing against Carly Roundtree, and it's not going to be a walk in the park for Roundtree, that's for sure. but one that is definitely a very winnable fight for him. Cal Foth is up next to take on the Wheel. And he gets drawn with Carlos Hernandez. Carlos Hernandez. Therefore, Cal Foth. Again, I've not really. Yeah, that's I've got. Excuse me. I've got Tatsura Tiara to win a second round sub for that one, but it's it's a close one as far as I'm aware. I think this flies a flyweight, whereas Tiara normally fights a bantamweight. Whether the weight cut might be a bit of an issue for him, but I'm can't say I'm an expert on those sort of things. So honestly, I can't really say. But if he's fully fit and everything goes to plan, then Tiara should get the second. Should get a submission win over him, I reckon. At least that's how he wins most of his fights. So that seems the most likely route to victory for him. But who knows? We'll see tomorrow night. Canhego Ruiz is up next to take on the Wheel. And he gets Stephanie Egger. Stephanie Egger. Therefore, Canhego Ruiz. And it's I've actually gone with Luana Santos for this one, although I have gone back and forth a few times in this one because, well, mainly because of Stephanie Egger's record. Because in the last 4 fights, she's lost one, and all of them have been by submission. So it's and the quality of the opponents has varied quite a bit between them as well. So she's, for me anyway, she's a bit of a loose cannon. She's a little bit unreliable, and I don't like backing unreliable fighters personally. As long as Luana Santos is on top game, then I can actually see her getting another submission win against Stephanie Egger, who's had a few of those two of last 4 losses were submissions. But I don't know, it feels like 50-50 whenever Stephanie Egger goes to the ground. But anyway, Luana Santos second round sub, but in terms of betting, I'd stay the hell away from that fight. But anyway, certainly not impossible. You just never know what you sort of a mystery there. You never know what you're going to get with her. Captain Quebec up next. And he gets Jamie Malarkey. Jamie Malarkey there for Captain Quebec. Frozen again. My internet, or is it my PC? PC's like 5 years old. So it's probably that. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, no, he's I've got Nasrat has so I've absolutely butchered that pronunciation. Nasrat Hakparast for a decision win, and it's again it's a close fight. I do still favour Hasparats for the win there. It could even stop him, to be honest. I think it's got a decent chance of knocking Malarkey out. But I think I always prefer to side with decision in my picks, and Malarkey's certainly tough enough to survive the usual kind of onslaught that someone like Haskrat puts up in his fights. So I think he'll hang in there, but I don't think he's going to get the win this time. But I think when I was looking into it, the betting lines are actually fairly close between them. So maybe the bookies know more than I do. But that's usually the case. Let's be honest. but but yeah, no, it's not the worst pick, not the best, but like I say, it's MMA. Anything can happen in it. Once they step in the cage, form goes out the window, doesn't it? Really, it's down to whichever fighter wants it more on the night. C. Collins, 44, up next to take on the wheel. And in his corner, he has Luana Santos. Luana Santos for C. Collins, 44 there. And that puts, like I say, I was just rambling on about that fight. We should try to cut down on the rambling, but again, sort of a 50-50 fight. I reckon the more reliable of the two fighters in that matchup. So yeah, for that one, I'm favouring C. Collins to get the better of Canhega Ruiz. First head-to-head from what I can immediately work out. Cheeseball is up next to take on the Wheel of Doom. And he gets Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott there. And again, that's quite a good pick. It's one of the better ones, in my opinion, anyway. I've got him to win a decision against Sumad Again, I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation of that. Chinese language pronunciation skills are not my strong point, but either way, I've got Tim Elliott to win a decision there. It's just again more experience, more well-rounded. There's not a lot really I can add to that fight, really, to be honest. I just think it's over in pretty much most aspects of the fighting game. Tim Elliott's the better fighter. And he seems to win almost all of his fights by decision. So it seems he's just going to stick to that game plan again. Play it safe, another win. You can't blame him for that if that's his strategy. It's a brutal sport. Just go in, get the win, get paid, move up that ladder slowly. That's all you can do. So I reckon it'll be another win there for Tim Elliott, and I think Cheeseball lives to see the second round. Damien Handel, 420 up next. And fighting in the Ducks corner, one of the main eventers, Yadong Song. Again, it's as I mentioned in the start of the video, I reckon he's going to stop Chris Gutierrez, second round knockouts. Like I say, just the quality of previous opponents is one of the primary factors I go off when judging, when making my picks, when judging the recent quality of fighters, win or lose. To be honest, it's more about their showing against the elites. And as I mentioned earlier, Yidong Song, he's got that pedigree, he's got that experience. That's going to serve him well, and that should be enough to overcome Chris Gutierrez. And more importantly for Damien Handel, should be enough to send him to the second round. Dr. Maxis 2 is next in line to take on the wheel. And the wheel decides to pair him up with Tatsuro Teara. Tatsuro Teara. Therefore, Maxis 2. Oh, excuse me. Got a bit of a cough coming on there, but yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, got him to win second round submission against Carlos Hernandez. That puts him 1v1 against Cal Foth from earlier. Not a lot to add to that fight, really. Like I briefly mentioned, slight weight class change might be a factor, might not be. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but he's the one I favour in that matchup. So I think that Dr. Maxis 2 is going to get the luck of the draw in that one. Foghorn Sam next up. He gets Tim Elliott. Again, it's just like Cheeseball. Tim Elliott there against uh, Sumu Dereshi. And again, just as trying not to repeat myself too much here, but more well-rounded. Just get another decision win, move on. I think he's going to be going through a cheese ball. Not a lot to add to that one, but a good pick there for Corn Sam. Fresno MMA up next, and he gets Nasrat Hakparast. Nasrat. That's how are we spelling that? HAQ. I can't spell or pronounce names. Amazing I've got a GCSE in English when you think about it. English language and literature. How the fuck did that happen? Anyway, as I've got him win a decision against Jamie Malarkey, and it's like I say, as I mentioned, he could stop Jamie Malarkey. Jamie's just a bit too tough for that, to be honest. So yeah, a fairly comfortable decision win there. To give Nasrat another win and to send Fresno to the next round. Well, at least that's what if my predictions are anything to go by. KK Combo up next. And he gets assigned with Melquizil Costa, one of the my new favourites, as I mentioned, up against Steve Garcia. And yeah, no, he's as I since he's made the jump up from was it earlier this year or maybe it's later last year? I'm pretty sure. I'm tempted to say it was for earlier this year when he made the jump up from LFA into the UFC on one of the Brazilian cards. I dare say, and he's been good enough to maintain a place in the UFC since. I just can't see him getting the win in this one, but it's I, that's not win or lose. That's not going to change my opinion of either of these fighters really. But it's got a chance. Just I think Steve Garcia's got a better chance, and in turn, obviously Bellatrix got a better chance in that one. Cushy Cake up next. And he gets Carlos Hernandez. We've got a few people in joining that fight now. Let's see, Cal Froth also had Carlos Hernandez earlier. Who had his opponents? Is Tatsura Tiara. Well, where is it? Yes, Dr. Maxis 2 as Tatsura Tiara. So that's a crowded little fight, that one. 3 people involved. And I say, not repeating myself too many times, hopefully, but Tatsura Tiara, second round sub. Yeah, like I say, I'm not just gonna waste anyone's time trying to think of rehashing old points again. So we'll move on to Mule Floyd. So let's see who the wheel is going to pair him up with. He gets Talita Alenka. Talita Alenka there. Again, same as our first competitor A earlier in there. He's mentioned we've got Rhian Amanda for a decision win, but as mentioned, that is a coin toss fight, really. Both are fairly evenly matched, but again, just going on the records, Alenkar's had more fights, and when it comes down to our favourite experience, So that's why I'm going for Anamanda, but certainly not the worst fighter to be drawn with on this card, that's for sure. Piggy Bank is up next. Oh yeah, now it's becoming a very interesting fight. That one that's uh, flyweight there, isn't it? With Piggy Bank also getting Sir Tiara. Um, yes, how many is that now? It's Carlos and there's is that a 2v2 now? Yep, that's a 2v2 now. At the moment, Cal Foth and Cushy Cake with Carlos Hernandez up against Dr. Maxis 2 and Piggy Bank now. So for this game, that's probably going to be the fight of the fight to watch, really. So certainly adds a bit more interest to it on what would, for a lot of fans, would just be another undercard, well, prelim, not even undercard really, prelim, flyweight fight. But this game does what it can to make it a little bit more spicy. Rigno up next. And he also joins the ranks of A and Mule Floyd with Talita Alenka. Again, evenly matched. Got the slight underdog, in my opinion, but who knows? Especially with women's MMA and putting a good showing on the Contender Series. But mind you, then again, so does Rihanna Manda, in my opinion. So I don't know. It's anyway. It's like I say, nothing to add to that. So just move on, save everyone's time. Shat is up next. Again, gets one of my personal favorites, Steve Garcia. Again, I've got, as mentioned, Steve Garcia, third round knockout against Miller Quills Costa. It's yeah, like I say, it's one of the ones that I'm personally looking forward to a lot. And for the game, we've got quite a few people piling onto that fight now. But I reckon he's got the better chance of going through there. Now for our defending champion to start his defense, Schwer Industry. Let's see who he's going to be drawn with. Let's see how he starts his defense. He gets Chris Gutierrez in the main event. Chris Gutierrez. And if my predictions are anything to go by, which they never are, I think our champion might be leaving us in the first round. I say Yadong Song there for second round knockout due to what I believe to be better pedigree opponents. But who knows? We know Schwer Industries is a lucky guy, so maybe that luck will carry him through for this week. Maybe Chris can pull off the upset. Who knows? Stranger things have happened in this sport. Siyun 6 is next to take on the wheel. Let's see who's going to be fighting in Siyun 6's corner. And again, we have Nasrat Hakparas. And yeah, again, just not so trying to avoid sounding like a broken record here. Decision win against Jamie Malarkey. So overall, I think got a slight favourite there to get through. Me up next. Let's see who I'm going to be drawn with. I get and I get the other end of the stick there, Jamie Malarkey. Again, as mentioned, I don't think he's going to be. I don't think it's going to be good enough to win that particular fight, but it's. But yeah, like I say, I think I've got a slight underdog with that one. Can't lie to myself. Can't try and fool myself into thinking I'm getting through. But having said that, I've certainly been wrong with notably with Jessica Andrade in the last game. But who knows? Maybe Jamie can pull off the upset this time. Maybe I'll get another little upset win to get through again. Tartara is up next. Let's see who Tartara is going to be drawn with for tomorrow night's fights. He gets Jun Yong Park. Jun Yong Park for Tartara there. I believe that's the first time Jun Yong Park's come up in this game, actually. And yeah, I've got him to go through against Andre Muniz. It's third round submission as it happens. Again, it's just looking over it. I just think overall, even though I'm certainly not an expert on this side of the sport, I think his Park's shown more consistently a better ground game in his fights, and he's got quite a few. I think he's won his last 4 or 5 in a row. So he's got a little streak going for him, and I think in that streak he's got 2 or 3 submission wins in there. So I think that's quite a good pick. I think Tartara can be quite happy with that one. The MMA historian is up next. Down to the final 5 of this now. Let's see who the MMA historian is going to be paired with. Only fitting a man called the MMA historian gets the legendary Anthony Smith. So, again, I don't think he's going to beat Carly Roundtree, but he's, as a legend of the sport, he's not completely washed. At the very least, I expect him to put up a good showing. And who knows, maybe he's still in better shape than I'm giving him credit for. Maybe that experience is going to be enough. Maybe he will launch himself back into the title picture. Can't really see that happening, but this is a must-win fight if that is going to happen. But yeah, Anthony Smith is representing the MMA historian tomorrow night. Trail Allman up next to take on the Wheel. Let's see if the Wheel's feeling kind. Yep, I think he is actually. That's the Adong song. Harped on about him enough, but again, second round knockout, Chris Gutierrez in the main event. I say better experience, better. Well, yeah, like I say, just a better resume overall. And I say was one of those certainly capable of finding a knockout from anywhere. So I think Trail Allman can be happy with that one as well. Trig up next. In Trig's corner, we have Jamie Malarkey. Jamie Malarkey there for Trig. Again, I think he's going to be on the wrong end of a decision there against Nasrat Paras, but I say certainly not the worst underdog. If you're gonna have an underdog on this card, is Jamie Malarkey's. You could do a lot worse than Jamie Malarkey. That's for true. It's yeah, not bad. It's not great, but it's certainly not bad. It could be a lot worse. He's got a chance. What I'm trying to say. Ubermatched up next. Representing Ubermatched, we find Keenan Song. Keenan Song for Ubermatched. I think that's the first time this has actually come up, and Keenan's. I'm kind of glad it has come up because someone knows I've got this down as a bit of a mismatch. I think Keenan Song's gonna win by first round knockouts, and again, it's just as I was saying earlier, I value experience even if it's losing experience. I value that more than more than a lot of other factors. And Keenan Song 21-7. It was Kevin Jusset is nine wins, 2 losses. I think experience is going to serve him well. I reckon, and I just this is it's a very very tough get for Kevin Jusek there. So I think it's going to be a bit of a mismatch actually. But of the 28 people in the game, I think Ubermatch can certainly be one of the happier of them. Now, finally, we have ex-con Chris. And oh, that's brilliant. Kevin just sat there for ex-con Chris. That fight doesn't come up at all during the whole course of the game, and then here it is coming up twice in the last two. But yeah, that's a one-on-one between Ubermatch and ex-con Chris then. And I just can't see any way Kevin Jusek gets the win, to be honest. I really can't. I think it's probably possibly the most one-sided fight on the card. Well, besides actually that's not quite true. Actually, I'd say Hyun Sung Park is probably a bigger favourite against Shannon Ross, but certainly one of the bigger ones. So whatever superstitions ex-con Chris may have, I think he's start doing them. Start doing your little rituals. But anyway, that concludes the draw, and as I'm sure you'll all be pleased to hear, concludes my rambling. So just to run through them again, I'm not going to try and work out who's fighting who at this point, because that's just going to be like that whole conspiracy theory web meme on the yeah, no, I need to go outside more. But anyway, just to run through the names, you have A with Caesar Alencar, Baron von Rattus with Hyun Sung Park, Letrix with Steve Garcia, Boom Shakalaka with Carly Roundtree, Calfoth with Carlos Hernandez. Kenhager Ariz is matched up with Stephanie Egger, Captain Quebec with Jamie Malarkey, C. Collins 44 with Luana Santos, Cheeseball is paired with Tim Elliott, Damien Handel 420 with Yadong Song, Dr. Maxis 2 with Tatsura Tiara, Popcorn Sam with Tim Elliott, Fresno MMA with Naskrat Hataparat, KK Kombu with Melequizel Costa, Cushy Cake with Carlos Hernandez, Mule Floyd with Talisa Alencar, Piggy Bank with Tatsura Tiara, Rigno with Talisa Alencar as well, Shat with Steve Garcia, Schwer Industry, our defending champion with Chris Gutierrez, Season 6 with Nasrat Hakparast, me with Jamie Malarkey, Tartara with Junyong Park, the MMA historian with Anthony Lionheart Smith, Trail Allman with Yadong Song, Trig with Jamie Malarkey, Ubermatch with Keenan Song, and directly facing off against him, ex-con Chris with Kevin Jusek. So that concludes the first round draw for this 16th edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. And all that leaves me to say is good luck to all of you in this game. Good luck with your picks on Tapology. Good luck with any bets you may have. Well, there's quite a lot of fights I would not bet on in this at all personally. But if you have been brave and or foolish enough to do so, fair play to you. Wish you the best for them. But in any case, regardless of what happens with this is the usual mayhem that comes with the first round and this many fighters. So long for now.